Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a podcast designed to create more reproductive health awareness and discuss your fertility preservation options. Here's your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
Hello, Dr. Amy. Welcome to the Fertility Confidence Podcast.
Hi, Kelsey. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So, as you said, my name is Dr. Amy, and I've been lovingly called the Egg Whisperer by one of my patients, and that name kind of stuck. I'm a fertility expert, which also means that I do IVF. I help patients who are trying to get pregnant, who have fertility concerns. I help people who basically aren't parents become parents. And some of those journeys are really easy, and some of them are really difficult. And my work focuses on cutting edge fertility research. I'm always looking for new ways to help people, especially women over 40. I talk to them about lifestyle optimization for their reproductive health and evidence-based strategies to support their egg quality. And over the years, I've worked with, a lot of patients, thousands of patients, helping them understand their fertility potential to help them make informed decisions about their reproductive health and family planning. And fertility is not just about age. There's so much that goes into it. And so I try and look at patients holistically when I take care of them.
Yeah, I love that. We've had some mutual patients actually, and I love your take on egg quality and cellular health. And that's why I'm really excited to get to pick your brain a little bit and chat more about how you integrate those types of conversations into even just a more standard medical practice. So when it comes to egg quality, how does cellular health play a role in that? What does that actually mean?
What it means for people that are talking to other doctors is we're called old. Doctors just look at their patients and they say things like, you have old eggs. And I think that's so incredibly unfair because it's really our cells are aging, not us. We're vibrant, we're young. Look at Demi Moore. I bet if you put a picture of Demi Moore up and ask someone, do you think she is fertile? People would say yes, because she looks fertile on the outside. But at over 60, obviously her eggs are not going to be able to turn into a healthy baby. So what I'm trying to do in my practice is talk to patients about what they can do to improve their mitochondrial health. And for listeners, the mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. They're responsible for producing the energy needed for our eggs to basically turn into healthy embryos. And as we get older, the mitochondrial function declines, leading to reduced energy production and changes in our egg quality. So NAD levels go down also as we age, and it's essential for mitochondrial health, DNA repair, and cellular function. And studies show that by the time a woman reaches her 30s, NAD levels have already dropped significantly. And we've all heard of that, like age 35. All of a sudden, you're 35 or your birthday is coming up. I start getting calls in my clinic. I'm turning 35 in 3 months. I need to get in right away. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that because these things decline slowly over time. But a lot of it has to do with NAD levels. So as NAD levels decline, the mitochondrial health declines, and we see an increased risk of having embryos and having pregnancies that are at higher risk of being genetically abnormal. And our egg cells require significant energy to thrive. And it's basically the foundation to their function, which is the mitochondrial health. Since we see this decline in NAD, up to even 65% by the time someone's in their early 30s and through age 70, this impacts fertility potential. My mother-in-law, she jokes with me. She's like, Amy, I want you to help me get pregnant. It's really fun. I have her on NAD, but I don't think it's going to work for her. So I think focusing on supporting mitochondrial health, there's more to it than just NAD, obviously. You can't, let's say, be a couch potato, drinking heavily, not sleeping well, and think that True Niagen or NAD is going to help. So I talk to patients about lifestyle, sleeping at least 7 hours, moving their bodies, decreasing stress, all of the things that can help optimize health of their eggs will also just help them long term. Because if you think about it, if you're in your 30s, even 40s, and I even have patients in their 50s who come to me wanting to have babies. They want to live forever. I think our kids probably aren't going to have kids until they're 50. 50 is going to be the new 40 in a generation to come. So we need to help patients understand how they can live longer when they're coming in to start their family so they can be around longer too.
Yeah, I love that. I always talk to my clients too about that, how, you're coming here, we're working on getting you pregnant. That's like our big goal. But I also have this like secret back alley method of helping you live this long, prosperous, healthy life. And you're not thinking that far in advance because right now we're just so laser focused on the baby. But at the end of the day, all of the tools and strategies that we're teaching our patients to help improve their egg quality and their fertility is also actually having this trickle down effect into their longevity in general.
It's so true, because working on your longevity at 80 is not so helpful. But thinking about it when you're in your 30s and 40s, I think will be helpful. So hopefully I'll be around until I'm 120. Same with you, Kelsey. And we'll get back on this podcast again and we'll be like, remember when we did that podcast together?
Yeah, we can do the reunion episode.
Yes, totally.
I'm really curious from an NAD perspective and cellular health. You're the egg whisperer. We talk about egg quality and we're talking about egg quality today, but could we flip this conversation for sperm as well and have basically the exact same combo?
100%. And I tell everyone that an embryo is an egg cell and a sperm cell. The statistics are 30% of fertility issues are due to the male side, but I actually think it's even higher, especially in men over 40. If I have a patient who's in her 40s, who's with a guy in his 20s, I'm giving her a big high five. But most women are partnering with guys who are the same age, if not older. And so having guys also optimize their health is really important. Your child isn't just what you eat. You know that saying, you are what you eat. There's generational health. You aren't just what you eat. You know what I mean? You are what your mom ate. You're also what your dad ate and your grandparents ate. So preconception health shouldn't just be about the woman and the prenatal and what she takes. It should also be about men and optimizing sperm quality, and mitochondrial health is also important with sperm as well. So I also include True Niagen and NAD in my conversations with both heterosexual partners when I'm talking about making babies.
Yeah, I think there's just this stigma or like belief still out there around male fertility because women are born with our eggs and they run out or go away or stop working, but men are just constantly making sperm, that we don't see age as being such an issue for men. And there's definitely a lot of examples and celebrities of older men fathering children. And so I feel like we still have that belief in our culture and in our generation. Age doesn't matter as much, but then you and I know, and practitioners know from the science that, yeah, there's probably a lot of sperm maybe still there, but how are they actually on the inside? Could they actually do their job?
Right. Increased risk of autism, schizophrenia, a number of neuropsychological issues, or I should say neuropsychiatric issues, are attributed to advanced paternal age. Not only that, but an increased risk of having embryos that are chromosomally abnormal can be attributed to older paternal age. So I always tell my patients this, especially if they're like in their early 40s, and let's say they're trying to conceive with someone who's over 50, I tell them, look, you might be sacrificing a good egg for a sperm cell that's not healthy. And once you run out, your only option is to use an egg donor. Why not just also consider a sperm donor? And that's a hard conversation. Everyone, when they meet the man of their dreams, they want to make a baby with them, with their own DNA. But I always want people to be prepared for all the scenarios once they create their family, so that they never feel surprised that, let's say, their child, has one of these issues that they weren't told up front.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned a few things from an NAD perspective in terms of how it naturally starts to decline at 30, but also our lifestyle plays a role. So sleep and stress and things. What are the top offenders that we need to be thinking about when we're trying to work on optimizing our egg quality?
Oh, such a great question. Number one, poor diet. So a diet lacking in NAD precursors like vitamin B rich foods, for example, salmon, chicken, avocados, or antioxidants, can definitely impair cellular function. Highly processed foods, excessive sugar, and unhealthy fats contribute to oxidative stress, which can damage cellular structures, including egg cells and sperm cells. So a balanced diet rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, and vitamins support cellular health and can help counteract these effects. So an anti-inflammatory diet is the type of diet that I ask my patients to follow. So if something's coming out of a bag, typically it's not going to be healthy for you, like chips and Cheetos and things like that. I'm not saying that you can't have the occasional snack out of a bag, but try to focus on healthy food as much as you can. The next thing would be chronic stress. Stress triggers the release of cortisol. It can disrupt hormone balance, impair ovulation, and deplete NAD levels over time. So reducing stress by practicing yoga, deep breathing can be really beneficial. I have lots of methods. I don't know if you know this. I'm known for things like my Tushy method, my balls method, but I also have these other acronyms like the fertility team. And so building your team while you're trying to conceive, I think is really important, like therapy, exercise, acupuncture, mindfulness, and meditation. So these are all things that can decrease stress. And I can't reinforce how important sleep is. I know so many patients do, Google scrolling in the middle of the night, going into fertility chat groups and trying to find someone that is like them or has a similar story that is a successful one, or finding different things that they can do. But that ultimately will deprive you of sleep. And NAD plays a role in circadian rhythm regulation. And my patients tell me, wow, I can't believe how well I'm sleeping now that I started True Niagen. And so that's one of the benefits of it. But aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, I think can really support reproductive health. Having a normal circadian rhythm will help you have a healthy ovulation. The next thing is alcohol. It's part of our society. We know how toxic it is. And it's just so funny because all the other drugs, all the things that are bad for you, you're not shamed for not doing them, but there's just something about alcohol that if you don't drink, some people think there's something wrong with you. And my latest thing is telling people that I got a divorce from alcohol. I divorced it. It was a struggle, man. Luckily, there were no lawyers involved. It wasn't too expensive of a split. And it was very difficult, but I did it and I've never looked back. I'm not saying that patients need to be alcohol free, but alcohol consumption depletes NAD levels, increases oxidative stress, affects hormones. Limiting alcohol intake can help maintain cellular integrity. You can definitely enjoy that cocktail here and there, but light intake for a woman is actually 4-ounce servings per week. 4-ounce. We're talking about half a cup. And I know the glasses that people pour because I've been to their houses and they've been to mine. It's not unusual for a couple to finish 1 or 2 bottles of wine just between the two of them in one night. So limiting alcohol intake, I think, is really important. And lastly, environmental toxins. And that's one thing that people can really control in terms of the plastics, the cleaning products, personal care items. These can all interfere with reproductive hormones and negatively impact egg health. So look at what you're using in your home. Look at the products you're putting on your face, the deodorant you're using, the toothpaste you're using, and find alternatives that are more safe.
All really great egg quality and longevity tips if we want to circle back to the beginning as well. Okay, you've said NAD a few times. What is NAD exactly?
NAD plays a crucial role in cellular energy production, DNA repair, and mitochondrial function. It's not just for ovarian health, but they're vital for ovarian health. It has to do with brain health, bone health. So many functions in the body rely on NAD. And it declines with age due to stressors we face every day, like the things we talked about: lack of exercise, sun exposure, diet, stress, environmental factors. So that's why it's important to keep NAD levels elevated. And the best way to do that is through supplementation. But before going into the state of research on NAD and ovarian health, you should know that there's a lot of misinformation out there on the best ways to elevate it. And so it's important that people understand what the science says. The science says that the most efficient way to elevate NAD is with NAD plus precursors or a booster called nicotinamide riboside, or what I call NR. This is a unique form of vitamin B3. It's the most efficient NAD booster because it can enter the cell directly. Unlike the NAD molecule itself or other common precursors such as NMN, NR is the most efficient way to elevate NAD levels because it crosses the cell wall directly and requires fewer steps to convert into NAD. So an important note is that there are folks, we call them bad players out there, that continue to sell NMN, even though it was banned for use in dietary supplements by the FDA in 2022. Several products of NMN have been shown to be low quality and they do not meet label claims. So there are a lot of different ways of supplementing NADs. There's oral, there's intravenous. Oral could be a pill, it can be powder. With intravenous, it's through an IV, but you can also get it subcutaneously. But you have to be careful about what you're using because for a lot of patients, they just read things and they think that there's low risk and safety has been documented, but that's not always the case. And efficiency, or I should say efficacy, is anecdotal. NR, however, is one of the most well-studied and safest NAD precursors with over 50 years of research, and it has over 35 peer-reviewed human clinical studies, and it's backed by over 400 published scientific studies. It's also been accepted by some of the world's most rigorous regulatory bodies. So you can't say the same thing for all the other products that you see out there. And elevating NAD can help with mitochondria, oxidative stress production, and help with age-related decline. I was watching the Oscars and one of my friends said, I bet Oprah is taking NAD. And I'm like, I bet it's NR because she looks great.
She really does look the exact same.
She hasn't changed at all.
No.
At all. Yeah.
No,
And,
not at all.
there are studies in the mouse model, and I also have seen it anecdotally in my patients about how taking NR can restore ovarian NAD levels. This is in the mice. It can improve egg quality and mitigate mitochondrial dysfunction associated with aging. So when it comes to NAD, I recommend that all my patients take the patented NR supplement called True Niagen. And I am a partner with them. And I actually reached out to them because I've been taking it for 7 years. And I said, I want to have my face on your bottle because I love
Let
this
me
so
in.
much.
Yeah.
My face is not on their bottle yet, maybe one day.
Yeah.
And I've seen success in combination with a healthy lifestyle. Both my husband and I take it. I take 1,000 milligrams a day. Sometimes I take 2,000, but mostly 1,000 a day. The human clinical trials are still emerging, and there's lots of exciting stuff coming out, especially related to things like Parkinson's, for example. But preclinical research suggests promising potential for elevating NAD plus with NR in fertility patients, and I see it myself. I'm going to continue recommending it to my patients, both for egg and sperm health. And it definitely, I think, can improve chances for both partners while trying to conceive.
With how well NR and NA and NAD work and what they do in the body, are we still talking the same kind of 3-month timeline, like 90 days to improve your egg quality timeline that we talk about with other supplements and lifestyle changes?
I would say, like, for a 42-year-old patient, telling her to wait 30 months before she's 30 months, telling her to wait 30 minutes
Right?
is really taxing.
Yeah.
Telling her to wait 3 months, I would never do that. I tell patients at least 30 days. So if someone meets me and they're not already on it, most of my patients are already on it even before they see me because they see the information that's on my website about what they can do to improve egg quality. But I typically tell patients, I want you on at least 30 days before your egg retrieval. I even have my egg freezing patients take it. So I think at least 30 days is important to increase your NAD levels.
That's good to hear, because anything that we can try to shorten that timeline down, especially going into an egg retrieval or an egg freezing cycle, because sometimes we'll have clients come in and they're like, I'm heading into my retrieval in like a few weeks. What can we do? I'm like, oh, I wish we had more time. But we're also in the same kind of mindset of you of being like, we're not going to tell you to stop unless there's a big glaring red flag, because who knows how many years you've waited for this moment, right?
Yeah.
I love that we were able to rope in some of the male side of things. Besides just like we talked about generally helping with sperm health, is there specific aspects of sperm health that NAD can support with?
So there are a number of ways that NAD can help with sperm health. Just like you mentioned, it can help improve sperm motility. I think, although we don't have the studies, that it can help decrease sperm DNA fragmentation because it can reduce oxidative stress and support DNA integrity. So I wish I could do that study, and I want to. I wish I had more time in my day to do things like that. But that's one of the things that I think that it can do. It can also enhance testosterone production and promote cellular longevity. So it can potentially delay sperm aging, maintaining their quality. So I don't have any data to go by showing that men who, let's say, were on it, let's say starting in their 30s, because we know when, for example, we might see problems from sperm as a man ages. I don't have studies that can actually show that those embryos are healthier due to healthier sperm if the guy, let's say, was on NAD. But I do predict and hypothesize that from a scientific standpoint, we could see that.
Yeah, I love that. How can people find more about you, Amy?
I'm really easy to find. Anywhere that you can put in Egg Whisperer, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, you'll find me. My website is draimee.org, also known as draimee.org. I think of myself as a rapper because I feel like I rap all day. And I say things to patients like, when you see flow, let me know. Come see me by cycle day 3. And I was like, that rhymes. And every day I love to, try and rhyme because in my head, I'm like, I am a rap star. But yeah, so draimee.org, draimee.org is where I share like a ton. I've been blogging for 18 years. So there's probably like 8,000 articles on my website, and you can search and you can find information just about anything related to fertility on my website.
Love that. I'll make sure that's in our show notes for our listeners. And as we wrap up, what's one last piece of fertility advice you'd love to leave for someone that's listening?
I would just say, don't allow fertility treatment to destroy your body and your mind. And that's one thing that I see is that people don't take really good care of themselves from the beginning. And they'll go through their fertility journey and say things like, I gained 40 pounds. My husband and I are fighting all the time. You really want to take care of the relationship with yourself and your partner if you're partnered early on. Because if you don't address those things, they don't get better once you have a baby.
Yeah.
And this journey is a spiritual one. It's about having a baby. It's based on love. So I want you to love yourself just as much as you imagine that you're going to love that baby. So the things that you can do are to support yourself from a health standpoint are all the things that we talked about today. Eating healthy, managing stress, getting good sleep, taking an NAD booster like True Niagen, but also talking to a therapist early on, getting in touch with a fertility coach, meeting with an acupuncturist. I think it's really important that you try and let go and know that there's so many things that are in our control, but a lot of it is out, and also just try and go with the flow. So those are the things that I think are really important pieces of advice for people out there who are either starting on their journey or already knee deep in their journey. Just take a moment and just make sure that you're not allowing this process to destroy your body, your mind, and your health.
Yeah, I love that because it's definitely a very common sentiment that comes up. And just a couple weeks ago, I had this conversation with a client where she was expressing that she really just felt like she was losing herself through her fertility journey. And she was a very sparkly, bubbly, optimistic person before all this started. And she was starting to notice that wasn't her default anymore. And so we had a long discussion around finding your joy in your day-to-day life again and finding that joy outside of you being the person going through the fertility journey and reminding yourself who you were, and especially in your relationship, like who you guys were together before then as well.
Yeah, so true. That's great advice.
Amazing. Okay. I will definitely love to chat with you again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening and for making the Egg Whisperer Show part of your routine. For show notes and full transcripts, visit dramy.org and click on the blog tab. While you're there, you can sign up for the Egg Whisperer newsletter and explore Dr. Amy's online fertility classes at the Egg Whisperer School. You can also follow Dr. Amy and the Egg Whisperer Show on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and find full-length videos of each episode on YouTube. Be sure and follow the Egg Whisperer Show on your favorite podcasting app. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. Thank you again for joining us, and until next time, keep sparkling.